I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm like 54 years old. I want to play music with low complications and low expectations. I want to be free to like play music and do what I want to do. And if you don't like it, fuck off. It's like not a big deal to me. So that's sort of where I'm at. I don't give a fuck if it's lockup. I don't give a fuck if it's visceral, collapse. I don't give a fuck if it's VC. I just want to play music that I enjoy and not have expectations on it.
Greetings, Legion. Welcome to episode 168 of Into the Necrosphere. This week, I am catching up with the legendary Kevin Sharp of Brutal Truth, formerly of Brutal Truth, I should say, the highly influential grindcore band from New York that laid waste to eardrums all throughout the 90s. He is now, of course, with Venomous Concept and Lockup. He came on the show to talk about the new Venomous Concept record, the Good Ship Lollipop. We also spoke about the early days of Brutal Truth. We spoke about his long enduring and creatively very productive friendship that he's had for years now with Shane Embury of Napalm Death. And this was one that became reasonably unwieldy and a bit unpredictable, but it was all the more fun for it. Like I said last week, I think that Kevin had a few imbibements prior to our conversation, but great catching up with him. This is the second time he's been on. I am sure you guys are all going to enjoy it. When it's done, though, the goodness does not stop, because I'm going to be talking about a pair of releases that have been capturing my attention lately. And then we will also be delivering an installment of my unfiltered and unedited weekly news rant, where I go on Metal Storm, I listen to some new music, I give you my take on the latest metal news headlines, and we have us a grand old time. Before we get to that, though, Confusion is a band that back in the early 90s in New York were laying the blueprint for what was to become deathcore. They featured a long-haired and significantly younger Mike Scandado, one of my fellow horsemen of the podcast Apocalypse, on the bass, and they have recently unearthed a treasure trove of some of their early recordings, which they are going to be releasing in the very near future. This is a taste of what you can expect from that compilation. This is a song called Storm the Walls. Storm the Walls off the compilation by the same name. The band is Confusion, legends of the New York deathcore scene, and I think that track was recorded all the way back in 1990, featuring the great Mike Scandado of the Necromaniacs podcast. He's also in a band called The Last Stand. Great dude, and he will be back on the podcast imminently. I haven't booked the time in the diary for it yet, but the Legions demand another 666 countdown. Last time, of course, him, Mike Hill, and myself did a countdown of our favorite black metal albums from the 1990s. There'll be another one, or the sequel will be the best death metal releases of the 1990s. So we will get that done sooner rather than later. I've got a bit of a backlog when it comes to guests and people that I've spoken to about coming on the show that I need to get through. But once that's done, the countdown is on. If you are new to the podcast, make sure that you elbow drop the subscribe button on your platform of choice. Follow me on social media, and then finally, after months of talking about it, I have relaunched the Into the Necrosphere Teespring store. So if you had either of the two previous releases, or two bits of merch, I should say, those are now officially limited edition. They are gone, never to return. I have two new designs, one being the classic logo with big bold letters on the back declaring "No wimps, no mercy." And then I've got a Jason Pepiat design. Jason Pepiat, for those that don't know, the frontman for Psychroptic. He's been a guest on the podcast before. Reached out to me and said that he basically would be happy for me to use one of his designs, one of his pieces of art, as a design for the shirt, or for a Into the Necrosphere shirt. And I was, of course, more than happy to take him on, because he's a fantastic artist, in addition to being an absolutely sensational frontman. So blown away that he was willing to do that, and the design is so fucking killer. It's a goat holding a skull, very Into the Necrosphere. He'll be back on the show as well at some point as a guest. So big thanks to him. Make sure you go check out that Into the Necrosphere Teespring store and the new designs. And if you do wear anything or you buy anything, remember to tag me on the socials. That is the best way, beyond the shares and the likes and the comments, to show your love and support for the podcast. I don't have a Patreon. I never will. But every cent that I make on those on those there Teespring store that gets plowed straight back into the show. Another cohort that you definitely need to support, perhaps most importantly of all, my fellow horsemen of the podcast Apocalypse. Every Monday, Brandon Legion brings you Horrorwolf 666. I am on deck every Tuesday with Into the Necrosphere. Every Wednesday, the Sensei Mike Hill of Tombs and Scorpion Throne brings you the longest running podcast in our ranks, Everything Went Black. And then he returns every Thursday with Necromaniacs alongside Jeff Kashid and Mike Scandado. They review horror movies, old and new, my favorite podcast of the week, as I've said many times before. And then every Sunday, the Reverend Carl Hikara discusses the weird, the arcane, the dark. We've had quite a few Horseman crossovers on that show, including myself. This week, Mike Scandado is on there talking about Confusion and talking about horror movies. So make sure that you check that out. Really, really good stuff. And thank you very much for choosing to spend the next 2.5 to 3 hours with me, as I welcome to the podcast for the second time, potentially not the last time, Kevin Sharp of Venomous Concept. So that it definitely was I think it was an interesting time for both of us. Like I listened back to that episode about a week ago when Simon confirmed that I was going to speak to you, and I as I said, you can definitely there's a dark tone and a moribund tone to pretty much everything both of us are saying.
Yeah, life was pretty fucking horrible.
It was definitely very very uncertain. I think it's interesting how things have evolved over the last couple of years. I mean, it's like, I think at one point you kind of thought that maybe, a common threat would unite us all. And it seems to have done the exact opposite. And in a way, I kind of feel like, normally, well, I'd say the timing of the last couple of Venomous Concept records has always seemed to be pretty spot on. But I think especially as I've gone back and I've listened to the Good Ship Lollipop, I feel this one's timing is almost more impeccable than ever.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was on fire at the time. Actually, when I flew over to the UK, it was like there was 30 people on the plane.
Yeah.
It was super fucking wild back then. but like, like I'd filled all of this weird paperwork that said that I had to be here or do that or this, that, and the other with France and Birmingham. And when I went through it all, I was just flying into the hood in Birmingham, and no one gave a shit. Nobody looked on me. I did a noise record. I did a bunch of shit while I was over there, you know. But here we are. Good Ship Lollipop. That's finally happening. That's weird, right?
I was about to say though, when we spoke, you mentioned to me that this record was in the can, or at
Yeah,
least that's
but
what I took away from the conversation. But like, what I was surprised by is like how much different it sounds to the last album. So was this? I mean, is the record that you mentioned was in the can? Is the Good Ship Lollipop that album?
it is. It took a minute to like make it happen, because like we presented all the usual like candidates and that sort of thing, and everybody's kind of like wanted VC to just do the same fucking thing over again.
Mm.
And labels became complicated, and we just took it back to the roots, man. I'd known Albert for a million years, and Shane had known Andy for a minute as well, and it's just like we just kind of like decided to like, well, we don't want to do that, and we kind of want to do this, and we just sort of aligned it to like, people that are interested in doing whatever, in Japan, MCR, Yamiki's, and he's old school Japanese hardcore punk. And we just said, fuck it, man. Fuck all the typical bullshit that wants you to do whatever. You get to a certain age in life where you start to like think about like, things you always talked about doing but never got around to doing.
Mm.
And I'm fortunate. Like I've got a lifetime history doing whatever that allows me to do whatever I want at this point, which is kind of strange to say, but that's kind of how music is.
Yeah. So if I'm reading you correctly, were the labels that you were talking to, was there pushback on the Good Ship Lollipop?
Nah, they all just wanted like, a grindcore record,
Yeah.
really. We talked to the label that we were recording with. I won't talk about it, but like whatever, like, and they just weren't interested, and most everyone wasn't interested in anything other than me just farting out fucking whatever. And I wanted to do something different, like it's it may not be anyone's fucking thing, but I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and Shane the same. So and John. And so like, fuck it, we did a record. You can either like it or fuck off, it's no big deal to me.
This is the closest I've heard to you singing, and I might be wrong on that. I might just have a limited frame of reference.
Well, whatever, man.
But the thing is, I really like it. I think like when I heard it the first time, I think it's with the second single where it's like the departure is really, it really becomes apparent. I was like, why the fuck has he not been doing this more often? It's like, it sounds so cool because it's that kind of like sing shout, like you're sort of shouting, but there's like a degree of melody in the shout as well, which as I said, you did do it really, really well.
Hilarious. No, it's more like a sense of like I had the time to actually, because like we've always kind of like bought our records and like paid for it as we went, and Shane went all in, and I had time to think, and I was working with Simon. Simon's fucking great, man. I mean, like trained vocalist and that sort of thing. And I just sort of like, I've done my thing, and I wanted to do something different. So I listened to someone else, and suggestions were made, and this and the other. And the next thing you know, like you learn a different thing. And, here we are. We recorded this. It's very melodic and in a sense, but the next record's very dark in another sense. But like I'm gonna throw melody in some way. But No, the whole point was is that like there was a lot of shit that interested like me and Shane back in the 80s. Whether it's Killing Joke, whether it's shoegaze, whether it's whatever you want to call it, we just kind of wanted to do things. Well, I'm 54 years old, you know, and it's like you could talk about shit to your fucking 90, but then you'll be dead. And so why not just do
Yeah.
it now?
Yeah, I was about to say you need to do what you need to do, and you mentioned the 80s. There's definitely I can hear the Killing Joke influence there, and that's
Sure.
having spoken with Shane and followed his career. I mean, he's a massive Killing Joke fan, and
Well, who
I've often
isn't? Like
wondered why he
that
would.
was very unique music for the
Yeah,
time. It's like the Swans. There's certain things that were impactful. We did a record. Actually, it's really ironic that we're talking about this, but like at the time when I went over to like the UK to like do this thing, like I got there like 3 days early, and I was like, we're gonna figure out exactly what we're gonna do, and in turn, we just fucking turned around and did a noise record, and it's called Visceral Collapse, and you can only find it on Bandcamp or whatever, but like that's just sort of been the way that we've always operated. It's just like we've taken this element, what we grew up listening to, and everything else is fuck off, whatever, because I'm at the age where I don't give a fuck if I impress a single person other than myself and the people I create music with. So here we are.
yeah. I've often wondered why Shane. I mean, I'm sure there's scheduling conflicts and whatnot, but it feels like it's something that has to happen. Jazz Coleman and Shane have to do at least a song together, if not a full blown record. Because even
Well,
like
no,
on some of the songs
those
on
guys.
this record, like I was like thinking to myself, man, how cool would it be if he was doing backing vocals on some of these songs?
Yeah. Those guys like talked about stuff with I think Igor from Sepultura. I don't know whether it ever came of anything, but yeah, there's always been talk of that. Who knows? I don't know. Who fuck cares? I'm gonna do music, and he's gonna do music, and we'll figure out who we do music with. I'm at the point right now, actually, where just like the people that I've known over the course of my life or whatever, you know, I kind of want to like involve in the next recordings. We're all getting older, and we all came from this or that or whatever, but like I just kind of like want to just create music with like people I know and share stories that we've had, because that's all you get at the end of the day.
Mm. What is it about your connection with Shane that seems to have tapped this kind of creative gold mine in the at this stage of your career? Because I love the stuff you guys have done together on Lockup. I think that pretty much everything that Venomous Concept has put out has been gold, hence getting you on the podcast again. It seems like you guys just seem to sort of click in a way that it's all of the great partnerships in any genre has that spark, and that spark really comes across on a Venomous Concept record, and actually on the Lockup albums as well.
I don't know. I think it comes with like knowing each other, really, to be quite honest. I've known them since like '89. They were doing the Grind Crusher tour back with Bolthor, Carcass, and Morbid Angel or something or another. Uh, yeah, I met him in Nottingham or whatever. This was in '89. And they came over and did their first shows in New York. So I've known everyone in that world for a minute, and it's just that like out of all the people that I've played music with and stuff like that, I would say that Shane has the best grip on songwriting. Maybe others might have a better riff or whatever, but like Shane is a good songwriter. He knows how to fucking craft a song. And a lot of people miss out on that concept when they're doing like, I don't know, fucking extreme music. You can only be so fucking extreme before you're stuck with the song. And if your song sucks, then who the fuck cares?
Yeah. So what's your process like with him in the studio? Like how do you guys, is it pretty seamless, pretty seamless way of recording? Do you guys butt heads? What's sort of the
Well, I
I guess
mean,
what's the
like
dynamic when you guys are recording?
Shane is stubborn as fuck, man. His head is like a cylinder block, man. But he has his ideas. I have mine. We've known each other forever, and somewhere in between lies how it works out. Like I'll never step one way or another with like that process. You know, Sometimes it's conflict that makes songs. Who the fuck knows? I know that he's a brother. I love him. I love him like air, and I've known him forever. And there you go. It's like we make music. I've known a lot of people. I'm very blessed with very talented people that are friends of mine. You know, but he can write a song. I'll give you that, man. He's fucking sick in the pants.
I mean, I've said this many times on this podcast before. What amazes me about him is that at his age, he pretty much with every record of every project he does, he seems to kind of push the boundaries that much more with every album. I mean, Napalm Death is a good example. They've never brought out a bad record, really. They've certainly
No,
not
but
brought out a
here
record that,
herein lies the fact is that like Shane writes all the Napalm records now.
yeah,
That's all Shane.
yeah.
And it's very scientific how he like moves things around. He does this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, he's Napalm Death. That's for sure. Barney writes words and but at the end of the day, like, that's his baby. That's what he does.
Mm. Yeah, and then obviously he's got Venomous Concept, he's got Lockup, he seems to also have so many other things that kind of continually bubble up. Obviously, he's got his ambient stuff that he's doing. So for somebody to be at that age and still be as in love with the process of making music, I mean, I think it's commendable, and I think it shows in the quality of what he puts out.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Here's the thing that I learned a long time ago. Like years ago, I used to hang out with this dude, Dave Brock. He sang in fucking Guar. And he would always like come to like Brutal Truth gigs and he'd be like, let's go out, and he was always take me out, like, which is a blessing. If you ever been on tour, man, you need minutes away for sure. And he would always provide them. And I remember like him talking about his thing, and he was like, I was like, I always thought about like, like stuff I do, and like, I know that a lot of people think that like, what I do is ridiculous or whatever, but like, I think what we do is valid and has a point in music, and outside of that, it's just personal taste and stuff. So, I think when I look at Shane's stuff, it's all really spot on, you know it just matters if like that's what your thing is, you know what I mean?
Dave Rocky, Odorous Orangus.
Yeah,
What was
odors, yeah,
I
that
mean,
guy.
he is. I've very rarely spoken to anybody who knew him. I mean, I was a big fan of Guar, especially the earlier stuff.
He was an amazing person.
An absolute wild man from what I've heard.
Doesn't matter, he was a good person, man. We'll never hear a sour note from me.
Mm. I was curious, and we never got to talking about this when you were on the podcast previously. But I was curious to talk a little bit about some of the the early days of Brutal Truth, and your entry into music, really, because you've had such
Sure.
an eclectic career, and you especially going after on the last episode that we did together, you're a fascinating cat. So what was your kind of entry into music? What was your earliest memory of discovering music by yourself rather than, something that was just being played around the house?
That's kind of weird because it just kind of stumbled into it. My my world into like what became my life started, I think, technically, over here in the States, we have a TV show called Saturday Night Live. And Saturday Night Live, there was a dude named John Belushi who like brought punk to the mainstream, whether it was Fear, Television, Devo, whatever. He always brought like interesting music. So I sort of saw it on the TV early on, but my first actual like what the fuck moment. Sorry, I'm in the hood having food and drinks, and there you go. But my sort of my first like trip into extreme music had to do with I was at a place called the Varsity. My mom had dropped me off, and she was going to do some stuff that she had to do downtown, told me to stay put. And I saw some punk rockers walking down the street, and I followed them. And I ended up at this place called the 688 Club, which had a corrosion and conformity matinee going on with a band called Neon Christ. Neon Christ technically was the first punk band I saw. I followed.
Nope. I think I might have...
Mom. What's that?
No, I lost you there for a second, but you were talking about Neon Christ?
Yeah, that was technically the first punk rock gig I saw, was Neon Christ opening up for Corrosion and Conformity.
Yeah. How old were you at that point?
God, I think, hold on just a second, that was 84. I graduated high school in 86. So I must have been like 15, maybe 15 years old. And the guitar player from of importance in that world, the guitar player of Neon Christ, eventually became the singer of the current version of Alice in Chains.
Oh, okay, yes. So that was Will Duvall.
Yeah. That dude.
Wow.
His old band was called Neon Christ. You can look it up on the YouTube. They were sick as fuck. They had an insane EP. And I saw them open up for Corrosion Conformity in a matinee at a place called the 688 Club. And that was the first thing that I saw technically, but my mother had bought me the first Motorhead record like back in the day, because another side story where she she we would go out and we would buy records. My first records I bought were like Kiss and stuff like that. But one day we were going into the record store and we were buying records, and she was like, "Oh, your hair looks like like Motorhead in the morning," which was filthy. Phil, the hair was just fucking everywhere. And the next thing you know, she bought me a Motorhead record for my Christmas or something present. And there was a few key elements. I didn't stumble in like the normal person, where they had like a neighbor down the street or a friend with a brother who turned them on to whatever. I just kind of stumbled into things.
So you saw Neon Christ, and then Brutal Truth started in 1990, a little bit before then?
Yeah, but that was like in that time period, that was fucking lifetimes ago. That was 4 or 5 years ago. And that, when you're 15 years old, 5 years is a great deal of time. So, I went through all that stuff back in the day. Did all the, the metal and hardcore things. There was Sodom back in the day, because like when you go into punk, like your aspects of extreme music with metal would be something like Venom, or God, what else was there? Venom and Motorhead. They were basically punk bands with metal thinking.
Yeah.
Whether it was Satan or fucking screwing chicks, man, like that's what, but it was all really raw, like punk, and it had its thing. So to me, it was all really accessible for the punk scene to really get into Venom and Motorhead. But the first pure like metal thing that I got into was the Sodom stuff. I heard some demo from some metal kid who was crossed over in that world or whatever. And that all started the 86 thing, which was like, creator pleasure to kill and, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So where did the extremity come from on that first Brutal Truth record? Because I remember like it
Well,
was around about the time I was getting into heavier stuff. And I remember somebody said, you need to listen to this. And they played me Stench of Prophet, which
huh,
like when you get to that blast beat in that song, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's like, I'd heard Cannibal Corpse and I'd heard DSI and I'd heard Obituary, and like you get to this and it's like, this takes anything that you thought was extreme and it blows it completely out of the water.
yeah. And, like, honestly, if I'm to be correct with the extreme conditions and that sort of thing, I would say it's 100% like Dark Angel worship on steroids. I mean, like, Stench of Prophet, okay, got it. But like Walking Corpse is total Dark Angel riffs,
Mm.
But like, we were all just into pushing. I think that Extreme Conditions was sort of the concept was somewhere between early DRI and Dark Angel. If I were to think about it and pin it down right now, at this point, Couch Slouch meets fucking Darkness Descends.
What was the response like to you guys in those early days? Did people know what to make of you? Were you kind
Nah,
of accepted as the?
we played with everyone. We didn't give a fuck. New York was straight like that. You could play with like Thurston Moores or fucking John Zorns or fucking Murphy's Law or like, whatever. We played all the traditional metal stuff like up in Rhode Island, like the Flim Fests and stuff with Incantation and Immolation and stuff. There was only a handful of interesting bands and we all just kind of played together. It was a different time. There nobody was successful at anything. So, we everyone that was playing music back then just sort of fucking did what they did, and it was accepted and it was interesting. I don't know so much now. Everyone has these expectations and such.
I was going to ask you. I mean, how does your experience of the scene right now, or the music industry right now, versus what it was like at that point? How different is it? And what do you think are kind of the good things about it, and what are the drawbacks?
Well, man, I'll be honest. I think there was a lot of bollocks for a long time or whatever, man. But like, I think that there's some contemporary death metal, if you want to call it. It's not really fucking, you know, Florida or this, that, or the other. But I think that there's some elements of truth. It sounds weird when you word it this way. Elements of truth with the death metal, some of the bands that are going on. I'll tell you, Frozen Soul. I've toured with them. I know where their heads are at. They're punk as fuck. They're like Bolthor, but more so than the Riff. They come from that world of punk ethic, and they just love what they do. They're fucking killer. There's 200 Stab Wounds. There's a handful of fucking contemporary death metal bands that are cool. But it's exciting to me because like for a long period of time, like I don't want to say things got boring, but things got like identifiable. Does that make sense?
Anodized, I think, is the word that I think about. Definitely, especially when it comes to death metal, it became it felt very sterile for a period of time, and it felt like people,
No, but do
you
you
mentioned
agree
about.
with me? Do you know the bands that I speak of?
Oh yeah. But I think just in terms of your comment on the death metal genre, I think the scene became very sterile, and I think it moved away too much from focusing on songwriting. It became more about showing off how well you can play the guitar and how fast you can drum, rather than we need to write a coherent song that's interesting from start to finish, and that kind of has that same self-contained feel that the great records from the 80s and some of the stuff from the early 90s had.
Yeah, no, I would say that just things got misdirected. Like blueprints are had. We're in the same position with the record I just put out. Like labels weren't really interested in anything interesting or different. They just wanted what they could count on. There's a formula in that world where they look at like, oh, you're in this band and you're in that band. He's in that band and this band, and you can fucking sell X amount of projected units, and yada 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 yada. I don't know. I think that the need to make things happen in independent labels has become more blueprint oriented, if that makes any sense. But like,
Yeah.
but like, and then that in a sense is why we, said, you know what, fuck this shit, man. You want us to do this? We're not going to do that. We're going to do that. And then we just find alternate channels of doing what we do. And that being, Albert over here in the States, and Andy over in England, Yumiki's in Japan. These are all people that still really love music and love what they do. And they're not looking at like, like, oh, this sounds pretty risky. You sound in tune. Because they just kind of want what can sell. And at a specific point, I don't know whether it's age or whatever. You just like, fuck it, man. I'm gonna just fucking do records. You don't want to put it out, someone else will. Fuck off, no big deal.
What do you think is behind that aversion to taking risks that you've experienced from record labels?
I just think everything since the pandemic became super risky.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do with records or whatever, man. It's just like everyone's trying to gamble on like what is a certain thing, and art is nothing that is a certain thing. People are fickle. They may like it, they may buy it. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. But like, we decided to take all that away, and with vinyl, we did like a limited 500 run. And we're not out to like fucking make any money here, man. We just want to fucking put out a record. Someone put it out, and someone over here put it out, and then the other person over there put it out. And it was never really a consideration of that. Shane chucked in all the money to make this happen. It was a blessing. We all had a nervous breakdown together. It was sick as fuck, man. And it's cool to be able to I don't know, document a thing that happens in your head and unravels.
Yeah. I mean, you also have form, just back to the creative risk taking. You definitely have had form over the course of your career for not really caring and doing different stuff, thinking about Need to Control, which, was so different to Extreme Conditions. So much like, it was so much more sort of creatively free. Where did that come from? Tell me a little bit more about how that record got to the place where it ended up sounding like it does.
I don't know, man. I think we were in a situation. We just did a really unusual tour with like the Boredoms and the Paintings, and I think that looking back on it now, I just think that like we just sort of thought that like, well, that was weird. People like it, but to be honest, at the time, the label was guiding things like Cathedral and Carcass and other things into this major channel over here with Columbia Records. And we just sort of got sat on the sidelines, especially when it came to that record, but like, we just sort of looked at it like, we did this. We'll never do it again. There's no point in doing it. We're not making any money. So why not just do like what you want to do?
Mm.
And in short, that's sort of where it all comes from. I'm not going to say that any of the records that VC ever did was pedestrian, because they were all weird changes. The first record was Swedish. The second record was New Yorkish-ish. And the third record was, different aspects, and then fuck, it all unraveled in the improv record that we did with Politics. We did, we kind of went in with some ideas, but we just wrote and recorded that in like fucking 4 or 5 days. It was more like a muscle jerk reaction. We wanted to do something that was pure instinct, that sort of thing. Before we did something that we picked apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, in between, we did a noise record. So who fuck knows, man? We're fucking idiots.
How? I mean, aside from, I know Dan obviously, wanted to retire the band. There's never been any talk of you guys getting back together again, doing anything together again.
There was actually, with Albert. Albert asked us to do one of those beer fest things, but like, and that's the only one that I ever brought to those dudes.
Mm.
But people ask all the time, obviously, but like, like I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm like 54 years old. I want to play music with low complications and low expectations. I want to be free to like play music and do what I want to do. And if you don't like it, fuck off. It's like not a big deal to me. So that's sort of where I'm at. I don't give a fuck if it's lockup. I don't give a fuck if it's visceral, collapse. I don't give a fuck if it's VC. I just want to play music that I enjoy and not have expectations on it. And with Brutal Truth, it's something we did. We wrote a lot of really cool records. I love me some Eric Burke for sure. But like, we did that, and it's time to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
I may create music with whoever from that band, but Brutal Truth came and we came back. We did some songs, and we did some more records, and they're really cool. Don't get me wrong, but I think we just kind of went our way.
Yeah. So if you kind of look back over your career and you had to sort of pick out maybe three songs that you and I say this because I have three.
That's so fucked up,
and I have to tell you three songs that you would go, if I want anybody to remember me for anything, it's going to be these three songs. The first three that come to mind, what would those be?
Jimenez Cricket, Brutal Truth.
Yeah.
Hang on just a second. That's a fucked up question, man. I've written a lot of songs, man.
I know. As I said, I've got it's a means for me to shoehorn the three that I want to tell you about, but also ask you about.
But it's kind of strange because I've written songs since what you've heard, like on the next VC record or stuff with another project that I have with Dave Whitty and Bill from Mastodon. But like, I don't know, man. Is this a question of like what's released or what I've written? What's the story?
I mean, I think anything that comes to mind. If it's something, and I didn't know about this project,
I would say
I'm gonna have to.
Jimenez Cricket simply because it was like the first time that like I wrote about real fucking pain, like personal pain, that sort of thing. I would say Lemonade, maybe, on politics, because it was a hot second. I wrote it and it was fucking true, and it was light yourself on fire true. But I would say that like on the new record, I would say, there's a lot of personal things there because I was going through a lot of shit at the time, man. So I don't even know, man. All of those were really important because they're all mental fucking snaps at various points when really things were fucking out of control. And I would say that like off of that record, I would say Clinical, Flowers Bloom, and I would say either everything is endlessness or what was that? Can't Lose.
Okay. All right.
Can't
So,
lose was like the can't lose was like a snapping point. I was in a really weird space. I, I went through a divorce through the whole thing, and there was a lot of stuff that happened during that time. I'm no different than anyone else. Multitudes of people that I care about got divorced. Multitudes of people went through a lot of stuff.
I was about to say that's something that was quite common in during the lockdown and during COVID is the divorce rates went up exponentially. I know at least 3 couples that got divorced. I know couples that had been together, not married, but together that went their separate ways. It
Well, I personally, my whole thoughts on that matter was a lot of people were unhappy with themselves, and they
mm,
kind of placed blame on the person they laid next to. Really didn't have anything to do with that. Should they thought they were buying into happiness, but there you go.
yeah. So
But
where's
go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, tying back to the conversation we had, a couple of years ago, where are you? Where's your head at now? How are you feeling about life, generally speaking? Now you seem to me to be a lot happier than you were. Um,
Well, no, I mean, I'm good. I'm trying to fucking catch up with my mental health like everyone else. Um, I went through a lot of stuff, and everyone went through a lot of stuff, and I mean, I'm good. I'm seeing someone who is genuinely kind, which is kind of weird for me. You know, I was in a really bad toxic thing for a long time.
mm,
And, I'm trying to put me back together again. I was in a position where I didn't really like myself. And, you get to a point where you're just like, okay, how do we correct this? You know? And, I do a lot of meditation, man. I try and fucking unrack the brain. But, everyone has that going on right now, man. If you're 54 years old and you're not addressing an issue, I'm not certain you're understanding what's going on.
mm.
And I would say that, like, right now, I'm making changes in my life. I'm trying to find, because I'm still young enough to like have an interesting second or third chapter, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
And I'm gonna try and do that, you know. And right now I'm sort of transitioning back into music and doing things like that on that level more full time. Tomorrow I leave to go do a tour manage gig with Brujeria and that sort of thing over here.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to what I know and what I'm comfortable with, and I lived the life and it happened, and I'm fortunate enough to be healthy enough to make another choice in life and do something that I love. I'm blessed, really, but like it's a complicated road to being blessed.
What makes you say that?
You go through a lot of self-hate, self-loathe, and stuff like that, and you have to understand deeper aspects of life and that sort of thing. And unfortunately, you have to dip your head in gasoline to fucking see it.
Mm.
And the great prophet Juan Brujo. Do you know the great prophet Juan Brujo?
I do.
Fuck yeah. Sometimes he goes, sometimes when you lose everything, it's the greatest thing that could ever happen. And I'm like, I'm sort of there, you know what I mean? I lost what I perceived was great, only to find out who I am and what makes me happy. And I'm given the choice of going there in that direction now.
Mm. It's like that. It's like the line from Fight Club. It's only when we've lost everything that we're free to do anything.
Dude, that would be book of juanbrujo.com.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's quite happy living in the desert, fucking, that's John. There you go.
I mean, I went through something similar in 2011, and I moved in with a friend of mine. Gave up the house that I was living in and a lot of the luxuries that I was living in. I remember lying in his spare room, staring up at the ceiling, thinking to myself, all of the comforts of life and the things that I'd kind of gathered up over the course of 10 years had fallen by the wayside. And I started stripping back in my mind, all of the things that I thought were making me happy at the time, until I kind of almost felt centered in the room that I was at, and centered with the things that were around me. And I sort of implicitly put myself in that place where I could feel happy with absolutely nothing. Like I said to myself, like if it gets to a place where I have no friends, I've got not a cent to my name, I've got nothing going for me aside from my health, a roof over my head, and 2 years at work, and I can listen to music, I could still be happy, and everything on top of that is just a bonus. And that to me was it was one of the most liberating experiences of my entire life.
Perspective is a gift, what is important to you, what makes you happy, and that sort of thing. Like I got my head fucking deep dicked and raped by fucking a toxic, horrible fucking relationship. But what I did learn is that like I have incredibly fucking sickly good friends that are solid, that are good humans, that are creative and interesting and all sorts of things. I have a beautiful kid who's fucking smart and healthy and these sort of things. You get locked up in like, you know, trivialities that fucking deep dick your brains or whatever, man. But at the end of the day, if you strip it all down and the things that are important to you are taken care of, that's all that really matters.
Mm.
Money comes and goes, fucking, women come and go, that sort of thing. But the gifts are the people that care about you and the stuff that you've done in life. It doesn't matter. I've done like a lot of really wild records, and I'm very grateful to have those little stamps in my life, sort of like tattoos or whatever you want to call them, periods of my life that mark things that I've gone through and that sort of thing. I'm very grateful with the friends that I've had who are super interesting and make great music and who are always there for me, man. I try not to get like locked up in the bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, I think when you're in a relationship that is toxic for you, and again, I can speak from my own experience here. I think it's one of the things that I think you have to recognize is that validation, generally speaking, for human beings, is a drug, and you become hooked on that particular individual's validation, and it's like they're starting to drip feed it to you in smaller and smaller doses, so you become more and more desperate for it, and your behavior becomes more and more self-destructive as a result. And I read something specific around this, around the super ego and recognizing the super ego governing your thinking. And again, it's until you kind of stare that reality about you in the face and recognize that where your behavior is stemming from, you will just stay in that loop forever. But it's a very painful process to get to that place.
Well, you can go ahead and take that logic and incorporate it in the musician's aspect of someone who's been around for fucking however many years or whatever. But like, you sit there and you think about it and it's like, there's these expectations outside of your personal life put into your like artistic life or whatever you want to call what I do. And it becomes more complicated, like it's like there's expectations on being a man and a family unit and that sort of thing. And then you go further into the fucking rabbit hole and there's expectations of what you do in a artistic whatever. So there's a lot of expectations on you. And I would say that the greatest thing in life is to not give a fuck and just do you. And, if your wife has expectations that are not you and you're trying to placate those and become something you're not to keep her happy, that's not good. If you're writing music that sucks and not as in line with your thinking, then that's not good either. So I think the greatest thing in life is losing everything and becoming honest with yourself.
Mm. Did you, I mean, as an artist, have you felt that degree of expectation on you over the course of your career, or as it, I guess, has it sort of weighed on you to the point where in periods of your life it's become detrimental?
No, I didn't give a fuck one way or another, man. I mean, like, obviously, everyone, X amount of people, I'm not going to say everyone, but X amount of people expect you to do like extreme conditions, and extreme conditions happened when I was a kid. And, I don't know, man. I mean, like, it happened, we were kids. We didn't know what we were doing. We recorded a record. Who the
Mm.
fuck cares? It doesn't matter. It was a period. It was like a tattoo. That's where I was when I was 20-ish or something. I don't remember, but I was young. And they all have little imprints, and reality becomes more intrinsic in who you are and what you write about and that sort of thing. And the further in life you go, the more impact songs that you write are, or at least for me, like everyone writes differently. Some people write about the same thing over and over again, and that's totally cool. But like I've always written music that kind of related where I was at in that place.
Mm.
So
It comes from a very honest place, and I think I think you can hear that as well in what you've done.
well, I grew up in the South, and we listened to like the Allman Brothers versus like Led Zeppelin. It's like we wrote about experiences versus Misty Mountain things.
Mm.
And that sort of thing. And that's sort of what you learned, is that the reality of life is more complicated and more interesting if you're honest in what you're writing about.
I was just about to say now, these changes you mentioned making to your life, does that include potentially leaving Atlanta, GA?
Oh, I got a handful of people here. My daughter's here. It doesn't mean she's about to be in college next year. So, no, not really. I'm seeing a fantastic gal who lives in Dublin. She's an academic, and uh, it works at a place called Maynooth. And she's fantastically kind and that sort of thing, and more in line. Who knows? Who the fuck knows, man? I'm just open for the next chapter.
Mm.
My world collapsed, and I wrote a bunch of records, and you can hear about it and maybe relate to your world or whatever. But it was my story, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Do I see myself here? Who the fuck knows, really, man? I mean, I know that like I enjoy a lot of places that I visited in time, and I could see myself in Spain. I could see myself in a lot of places.
Mm.
What about you?
As far as my life is concerned, I mean,
Yeah, you're asking
I
me.
no, it's fine. I'll tell you. I mean, I moved to the UK from South Africa in 2002.
Can tell.
I must confess
Where
I
do you
hate
live
the
in the
UK.
UK? Where do you live in the UK?
Outside in the countryside in the middle of nowhere. So I live
Sick.
about 20 minutes away from a place called Newbury. And like I don't know how well you know the place, but I'd say
I
maybe
do.
well, yeah. So I live about an hour and a half away from where I estimate Shane lives. My daughter actually lives in Shropshire as well, which is the county in which Shane lives. So I think that was one good thing that I did in lockdown. We decided, we were living in London. We decided we'd had enough, and we moved out to the countryside, and that was great because you didn't have to deal with all of the fucking noise and the craziness and the bullshit that you have to deal with in London all the time.
Sounds
But
great.
as a country, I'm not really particularly enamored with the direction that the UK has taken over the course of the last couple of years. And when I go back to South Africa now, it gets really difficult for me to come back. I feel incredibly depressed when I'm sitting in the airport thinking I have to come back. But the reality is I've made a life, a career. I've got a daughter here. It's not an option to move back. But I will at
How old's
some
your
point.
daughter?
She's 9, or she's turning 9 this year.
Yeah, it's different
So
when they're 17, 18 years old and about to start their life. You have options and that sort of thing. And like I look at it like, yeah, I mean, like, come on, seriously, look at look at where I live. But the thing is grass always greener on the other side for some reason or another. And you know, I think you may think that it's greater back in South Africa, but I think that what you'll find if you look anywhere on planet Earth right now, it's complicated.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean,
Everyone's been through fucking serious amounts of trauma.
yeah.
Everyone's had this or that experience. You bounced out from London to fucking the hills.
Mm.
And you know, that's a mild change compared to like things that have happened in most people's life.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have options to potentially go to Dubai. I could possibly, with my job, I could go to Texas. So those are things that I would consider. But I mean, I'd say in terms of where my life is now, the big change for me actually wasn't over lockdown. Like I had a really rough personal time. I'd say from 2015, like the year I turned 35. That was that's the year to forget. And then kind of the road back from that was pretty substantial. But I have to say, I mean, now that it's in the rear view, I wouldn't change a fucking thing about it. I wish
Well,
sometimes that
here's a
there were
newsflash: you couldn't change
no.
anything.
Well, there
Life
you go.
presents what it presents, and you just kind of have to accept it.
Yeah,
And how you accept it, how you interpret it, and how you move forward in your life. Like, that's you know open.
yeah. No, absolutely. And the thing
I
is,
just had to turn on my phone is about to die, and that is life.
no, that's fine.
But
No, it's just
like whatever happens in your life shapes who you are and what you become and stuff. I mean, you're really young, bro. You got a lot of things that are open in the future, man. I would say just keep your eyes open and your ears fucking tweaked, and make the best decisions for you, because like that's the only thing that's going to bring you happiness.
yeah. No, I agree. And again, I think that what I was going to say earlier about
Oh shit, sorry, dude. Hang on, I
no worries,
lost you.
brother.
Fuck me.
Have you got me back now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, sorry. Like when I turned on the whatever truck so I could charge my phone and not lose
All
you.
right. No, that's
Okay,
fine.
so you were saying?
No, I was going to say, I think it's you. It's not just necessarily a case of you don't want to change it. It's you become grateful for the learning. And it was a tough period to learn a couple of hard lessons, but then at the same time, also once I came out of that, I had a fucking great time, and then met somebody who's amazing, and kind of in the same boat that you're in. The only difference is we've been together for 5 years now. We're engaged. And even though on
I
paper,
probably want to do that again. But the moral of the story is that like I've learned how to be treated,
yeah,
and I've learned my personal value, what I perceive myself at, and I won't take anything short of kindness.
yeah.
And I think that's the difference in my world.
So 2 more music related questions to ask you, and then
Sure.
I'll let you go. You mentioned the project you're doing with Bill from Mastodon. What's all that about?
I think it's going to be called The Stuns,
Yeah,
and it's with me and Bill and Dave Whitty from Municipal Waste, who plays on the next VC record,
yeah,
which is his parts are recorded. I'm just piecing mine together. I'm about 4 or 5 songs into it right now, but he came down and recorded that bit. The name of the next VC record's called Seeds, and then Bill and I did this thing called Primate for a minute, and we wanted to do something a little different and that sort of thing. And it's not that Primate's over. It's just that that's what was recorded. And I mean, the fucking Whitty came in on that one, and Bumpy from a band called Palace is here, and you know, I don't know, man. It's nostalgia to a certain degree, but it has melody and things to it. Who the fuck knows? It's another thing.
Mm. I also just need to mention, you mentioned Dave, Burnt by the Sun. If anybody has forgotten about that band, they're fucking incredible.
They're
And
sad about it, man.
bro, I'm
But
such a huge fan of that band.
did you ever hear the split that we did with Dave Whitty's band Under Attack? BC did.
No, I don't think so.
Ah, fuck's sake, dude.
I will check that out for
all
sure.
you have to do is YouTube Venomous Concept split. It'll pop up.
Yeah. No,
Under Attack, it's like a, you know, old school, dude. You'll love it because Whitty's a monster on it, man.
Mm.
And outside of that, you know, the VC thing is more like West Coast 80s hardcore. It's totally different, like Blast, that kind of thing. But that's on MCR, and MCR is putting out this record as well. So, you know, trying to keep things grassroots and within our spectrum.
Yeah. So final thing, it's not really a question. I asked you earlier about your kind of, you know, some of your favorite songs that you've written, or the songs you want to be remembered for. The three I think about immediately whenever I think of Kevin Sharp, three I think about immediately. God Player.
Sure.
Which has the hardest breakdown, or one of the hardest breakdowns ever. Like you guys were doing breakdowns before breakdowns were a thing. The Plague That Stalks the Darkness off the second to last Lockup record, absolute genius. And then maybe my favorite song that you've ever sung on, and I like most of the stuff you've been on, but Half Full by Venomous Concept. I'm so fucking obsessed with that song. I can't tell you.
Yeah, it's sort of like a transitional period. It's very New York, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you know what it is. I'm a big fan of people, and I've spoken about this before. I'm a big fan of people that know how to use their voice like another instrument. And in varying degrees on all three of those songs, you do it extremely well. Which is, again, I mean, in some ways, why I was so surprised and enjoyed it so much on Good Ship Lollipop, hearing you sing, because you really have a great singing voice.
Well, you know, it's not like I'm this trained monkey. It's just like, the weirdest thing for me is that, like, I always write music according to like what I hear when I hear the song and the word. And actually, the way the process works is I'll listen, I'll hear the riff or the beat or something like that, and vocal pattern will come into play. And then there's usually like a meter to it. And, you know, now we've added like elements of melody to it. So I have different ideas of like what I want to do depending upon what music I'm listening to. A lot of that Lockup record that you talked about, like the demonization record, whatever you want to call it, was just like me, Shane, and Russ Russell just fucking mashing it out. You know, like you know, I was having a bit of a breakdown. It lasted a minute or two, but like I went over and I had some words and some ideas, but like, you know, Shane would step out of the room and he'd go for a piss, and he'd come back and he'd be like, "Oh my God, what the fuck just happened?" You know, and it'd just be like, you know, like, this is what I hear here. And I worked on it. That was a really strange session where, you know, it was 3 days of the three of us just sitting there, throwing out ideas, what sounded the best to us at that particular time. Like, the songs were written, the majority of the songs are written. Shane, of course, would step into the other room. I'm, you know, because I'm certain there's like at least like 4 or 5 songs that aren't on the record that Laurent put out. And then Shane would just kept coming back and was just like, "I got this idea." And my head was mashed, man. I was doing like 8-9 hour sessions. One day I did 13 hours where I just sat in the headphones for 13 hours and screamed like a fucking banshee. And it was 3 days of, you can ask Russ, that was a wild session, man. It was super fucking wild. But there was points where I was just at the end of it where I was just like, oh God, my ears are fucking bleeding. Please let me fucking leave this place. Shane, if you come into the room again, I'll cry. I remember I was trying to work out, I forget the song, but like Anton was having a seizure with the riffs. And I was just like, I can't do this. My brain is on fire. I was so ready for it to be over with, but it was a release or whatever you want to call it. It was a cathartic, and that's all you can hope for with music, is it takes you away from the hell inside your head.
Yeah. Well, brother, thank you so much for your time. I can see sun is set where you are, so I really appreciate it.
Great, here we are. We're in East Atlanta. We're going to go back into the pubs and eat it up then, because tomorrow we go and do a breweria tour. Yes, sir.
Well, dude, you must have a great time. And like I said, I'm glad to see you're in you're in a better place, and things are moving.
Well,
seem to be moving along in a positive direction.
I hope everyone's moving forward in their lives. It's like, it is complicated times, man, but life doesn't have to be complicated. Just figure out who you are and just follow that path. Be true to yourself.
Awesome. All right. Well, have a good dinner. And like
already
I said,
ate. I'm gonna go back in the pub and drink.
All right. Well, hopefully catch you down the road.
Right on, brother.
All right, my man. Take care.
Later.
Bye-bye. That was the Good Ship Lollipop by Venomous Concept. Thank you so much to Kevin for coming on the show. Like I said, an unpredictable conversation, and I suspect Kevin enjoyed a few beers potentially before the episode or before we started recording that conversation. But he's such a sincere guy. And he's a dude that, he's been around the block, that's for sure. And I think has a lot of stories to tell. It'd be great to get him on again at some point in the future. And just a comment on that Venomous Concept record. I don't know whether you guys felt the same, but I kind of got a sense of almost preemptive defensiveness from Kevin when I spoke to him about the material. And personally, I hope it came across when I spoke to him, but I think the record is fantastic. I think it's awesome that they've decided to do something that's a bit different for them. I think everybody in the band is certainly more than capable of coloring outside the lines effectively, and I think the album is better for it. I mean, we've got a bunch of grindcore stuff that everybody involved in the band has done. There are 4 excellent grind records in the Venomous Concept back catalogue, so bringing in some of those Killing Joke elements and, some of the left field ideas and influences that they've got on this record, I think is pretty damn cool. And I think it works especially well on that title track that you just heard now. So the album, once again, The Good Ship Lollipop. I'll post the link to their Bandcamp in the description to the podcast. Big thanks again to Kevin for coming on, and go and show them your love and support. Now, speaking of bands who you need to show a ton of love to, we'll start with Tribe of Pazuzu. I mentioned I'm going to talk about 2 releases this week that has been capturing the lion's share of my attention. Tribe of Pazuzu is a black and death metal band out of Canada. I've had Nick Pazuzu, the frontman for the band, on the podcast back on, and I speak under correction on this, but I think it was about episode 73. So Nick is an interesting cat. He posted a rant on Twitter, basically calling out a bunch of woke idiots that had posted a load of nonsense, I think in response to things that he had said on Twitter. And he's a reasonably level-headed dude, but I just read those tweets and immediately thought, me and this guy have plenty in common, so got him on the show. I think we will definitely need to do a part 2 of that conversation. But as I kind of uncovered everything that the guy does musically, he's pretty goddamn capable as well. And Tribe of Pazuzu is one of his main musical vehicles. He has another one called Nihilist Death Cult, which is kind of more punk grindcore kind of thing, more in the Terrorizer vein. Also very, very good. But Tribe of Pazuzu is something pretty damn special. And, I mentioned last week, if you're a death metal fan right now, you really are spoilt for choice. And Tribe of Pazuzu is a good example of why that is. So Blasphemous Prophecies is their debut full-length. They've released 2 EPs previously, Heretical Uprising and King of All Demons, both very good. Both notable for their inclusion of Flo Monnier of Cryptopsy on the drums and John McKenty of Incantation on guitars. The new record, Blasphemous Prophecies, finds us sans John, but Flo is still there. And I have to say, listening to the record, what immediately strikes you is how fired up Nick actually sounds. Being this is his musical vehicle, maybe that's understandable. He sounded great on those 2 EPs, but on this record, I mean, from the moment that We Serve Under No God, which is the opening song, was from the second that kicks off, he really sounds like he's coming out of the gate with something to prove. His voice is really aggressive, really abrasive. It has kind of old school elements to it. Like sometimes you can hear a bit of a almost Patrick Mamelli vibe. And hopefully you won't hate me for saying that, but I mean that in a very positive way. But it's like almost Patrick Mamelli, but with more precision, more aggression, just a more confrontational aspect to what he's doing. Then, of course, you've got Flo Monnier playing drums like, really him and very, very few others can. And you've got a absolute fucking treasure trove of killer riffs. This is not a band that is setting out to do anything particularly left field or left of center of anything that goes on in death metal right now. It's taking a well-established blueprint and it is executing it to an absolute turn. The record is 29 minutes long, so going back to like the early Deicide records, it very much doesn't outlive its welcome. It hits you short, sharp, fast, and it's pretty much thoroughly enjoyable from start to finish. I'd say where it becomes most enjoyable is where they are including some of those more, kind of old school black metal elements that I know Nick likes as well. So, you can hear a slight whiff of Marduk on a song like Countess of Blood. And I think that's where the band is at their most memorable and their most effective. But if you like death metal, you absolutely need to get this. It's available on Vic Records right now. And the album, like I said, Blasphemous Prophecies. Next up, we've got Horda out of Poland. You all know when it comes to Polish black metal, I am a very, very big torchbearer for that scene. I think in terms of regional scenes, there are very, very few, if any, that can compare to Poland. And Horda are a band. Myself and the Horsemen were speculating about this on a Facebook Messenger group that we have, just looking at the band photo, because these guys really do look like very, very young lads. This is actually their second album, so they put out a record back in 2020 called Obsession. I'm not familiar with it, and I've not had the chance to go back and dig into it, but their new record, Form, which inexplicably is available, or they have put out independently, much like their first record, was released on March the 4th. 7 tracks across 42 minutes of seriously aggressive, dark, violent, just completely acerbic black metal. That kind of blends some of the best of what you hear from, the finest names in Polish black metal, with second wave Norwegian influences. There's some, distinct French influences going there as well. But I think they've managed to roll all of it up into something that sounds quite unique and quite self-contained. I think all of the performances on this particular record is absolutely fantastic. The riffs are so solid. And one of the things that I love about them is a little bit like Sodality, which I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, Mysteriuming, which you all know I've raved about. When they use keyboards, or when they use anything that is, outside of the standard, 2 guitars, bass, drums, vocals, dynamic, they use it sparingly, but to just a highly, highly devastating effect. Shrine Within, one of my favorite songs on the record, is a great example of that. But the whole album is full of those little surprises that, just keeps you coming back and just keeps you intrigued. The thing about this album, though, is, it's more than a sum of its parts. It's a vibe that they capture very, very well. And again, I get back to what I said at the start of this review stroke rant. How the fuck are these guys not signed? We spoke about this on last week's news rant when I listened to that Dawn Raid song. And no offense to the Dawn Raid folk, but I mean, to me, it's insane that Prosthetic Records would pick them up and ignore a band like this. And, we've spoken about it before. There's a list of bands we featured on this show that really should be picked up. But Deborah Morty, Season of Mist, I know those are 2 labels that listen to this podcast a lot. You guys need to pay serious attention to these guys because they are absolutely fucking sensational. And I'm going to prove so by playing one of my favorite songs off the record. I mentioned it a second ago. This is a song called Shrine Within. You just listened to Shrine Within by Horda off their fantastic new record, Form, released independently to mind-boggling effect as far as I'm concerned, but they do have a Bandcamp, and I'll post the link to that in the description of the podcast. So head over there if you liked what you heard, buy yourself some music and make them aware that you heard about them on Into the Necrosphere. And let's also make some noise about this band, because as I said, I think it's an absolute disgrace that more people don't know who they are. This is easily a front runner for the 2023 shortlist as far as albums of the year is concerned. I mean, it is that good. Okay, my friends, right now, if you think that that Rachel Maddow from MSNBC has some good ideas, then it's time for you to get to stepping, because this is my weekly news rant. First headline this week, Ken Mode launch Painless single. Painless was not a track on Null, at least as far as I'm aware, Null being their previous record. One that scored very highly on Mike Hill's albums of 2022. It was certainly one that I considered for my shortlist. And of course, I've had Jesse Matthewson of Ken Mode on the podcast a couple of times. So it's a band I absolutely love. I would assume, therefore, also, as far as the song is concerned, that this is on the sequel to Null, which, if memory serves me correctly, is going to be called Void. But I don't think that they've announced any release dates or anything like that for it yet. It says here, frontman Jesse Matthewson says of the song, certified banger, written in the heart of the second lockdown for us, with the lyrics conjured during a blizzard in the middle of the woods in 2021 during the coldest period of winter. Some people took times like these to reflect on simpler times in their lives, digging back into their youth. I tried to do this as well during the pandemic, hoping for some degree of comfort, but I only found it made me more unhappy. I wanted to move on. I want to move on. It is a Bandcamp link, so I'm going to see if I can find it on YouTube and thus spare the ears and windscreens of my listeners. But whilst there we go, got it. So let's give it a quick spin. As I said, I'm not sure whether this is going to feature or on the next record, but either way, Ken Mode is always has a place in the ears and hearts of the Into the Necrosphere Legion. I think the speculation could be laid to rest. Looking at this on YouTube, they actually have the cover for Void on there as well. I don't know why they don't mention it in the press release, but yeah, this will be on the forthcoming Ken Mode record. The cover looks fucking seriously sinister. It has kind of Aphex Twin Come to Daddy vibes on there, but which I love. Song itself is pretty cool too. It's got a bit of a punk vibe to it, almost like Ken Mode channeling Black Flag in a way. But I like it. I think it's very good. I do hope on Void that they throw in, maybe a few surprises. There's a song that I've mentioned before when I've spoken about this band called Romeo Must Never Know. It was on the record that they put out back in 2012, I believe, but just a phenomenal song. I mean, it's totally different for them. It's bordering on being a ballad, but very, very dark, very somber. It is, to me, that, when they do those sorts of things, it's when you really see how great they are as musicians, how versatile they are as musicians. And it also helps break up how kind of oppressive some of their records can sometimes be, because I mean their albums are. I described it once to a friend of mine who wasn't familiar with them, and I said, if you take if you take the naked emotion of being angry and pissed off and you turn it into music, you've got a 35-minute Ken Mode record. I mean, that is basically how all this stuff sounds. So, but good stuff there by Ken Mode, getting us started off this week. Moving on, we've got Unholy Outlaw. It says here, Brazilian experienced metal band Unholy Outlaw welcome new guitarist Bruno Augusto in the ranks. He's replacing Fabio Shamash, who recently moved to Portugal and cannot be in the band's service anymore. Nothing here about new music, and frankly, I don't know who Unholy Outlaw is, but when it comes to Brazilian music, I'm pretty down. Some very, very good bands coming out of Brazil, coming out of South America generally. Speaking of that, my friend Jonathan in Selpst is surely due for a new record this year. I mean, that was a band that I really got behind and pushed on this podcast. I know quite a few of you really like it also. It's been a hot minute since it came out. And I saw that they were posting on the socials a while back looking for a new drummer. So, hopefully they've got that sorted, because the sooner we get some new Selps music, the better. Okay, Dawn of Ouroboros, Velvet Moon Unleashed. It says here, black metal entity Dawn of Ouroboros present Velvet Moon, the newest single that is now available for streaming with a accompanying music video. The Oakland, California group's second album, Velvet Incandescence, is due out on April the 21st. That's going to be on Prosthetic Records, and of course, Dawn of Ouroboros features Kylie Calling members. And they've been on the podcast before, so really like that Kylie Calling record. And when I got into that band is how I went back and looked through the Dawn of Ouroboros back catalogue. So reasonably positive about what this may end up sounding like, but we're about to find out if it cuts the mustard. I don't think there's a nice way to say this, so I'm just going to come out and say it. Major chords have no place in black metal. That's not my thing whatsoever. I was hugely behind Kylie Calling, as you all know. I think that Chelsea Murphy, their vocalist, is tremendously talented. I mean, she's multi-talented, frankly, because I've heard her in her other bands as well. And I think that Tony Thomas, the guitarist, the work that he did on Kylie Calling is just absolutely fantastic. Moody, dark. Like I said to him when I had them on the show, reminded me a little bit of the soundtrack to Drive, which I think is just an incredible film. This, though, is not my thing. I don't know if it's going to be for anybody that listens to this. I think you need to be a Deaf Heaven fan to probably enjoy this, and you all know my thoughts on Deaf Heaven. So, sorry, folks. I love you, but I'm not loving that song. So, right. Next, we've got some sad news. The guitarist for Dark Angel, Jim Durkin, has passed away at the age of 58. It says here, Dark Angel guitarist and founding member Jim Durkin died last Wednesday, March the 8th, at the age of 58. Durkin was part of the band from 1981 to 1989, and again from 2013 up until his passing, and he had been sitting out some of the recent live performances with drummer Gene Hoglan's wife, Laura Christine, filling in for him. Durkin has also spent the last couple of years working on new material for what would have been the first studio album from Dark Angel since 1991's Time Does Not Heal. The news of Durkin's passing was confirmed on Facebook by his wife Annie, who issued the following statement. With a broken and heavy heart, I want to share that the love of my life, my best friend and husband, Jimmy, passed away Wednesday morning. He was not alone, and I was with him along with a few close friends until the end. He will be truly missed, and no one will ever replace the love I have for him. May he rest in peace. Ever thine, ever mine, ever yours, my immortal beloved. I'll see you again, Annie Durkin. Very, very sad news. And, 58 when you're 18 or when you're 28 sounds like it's miles off, but it's not miles off for many of us who listen to this podcast. And it's too young for a grown-ass man to die. Dark Angel, I don't think there's a conversation where thrash metal is brought up as a genre where Dark Angel is not brought up as one of the most influential. The legacy that Jim will leave behind, I think, will be felt across all of extreme music for as long as extreme music is being produced. I think more importantly than that, I think the tribute that Annie has paid to him on this statement, I think that says everything there is to say about the man, about the man's character. That's the way that you're remembered by the people who loved you. You've lived a good life. So it's sad news. I'm going to read something. I'm sure that Jeremy won't mind me doing this, but I think Jeremy Wagner of Broken Hope probably posted the nicest tribute that I've read amongst many for Jim, and I thought I would read that because he's saying things in a certainly far more eloquent way than I can say it. But it says here, Jim Durkin, a true riff master and a huge influence on me when I was a young metal guitarist. Really, one of the biggest guitar influences on me when I was a fledgling metal guitarist, and riffs like Jim's age better and better with time for me to this day. Dark Angel's Darkness Descends changed my life, and Jim Durkin was the chief riffer on that album, and to that end, he's a titan of thrash. I used to wear that Dark Angel shirt, damn 24/7 in my late teens. I had another shirt that said Dark Fucking Angel on it, and I got kicked out of class when I was a junior for wearing it to school. The first Broken Hope demo had a lot of Durkin Dark Angel influence melded with my early death metal influences. Thanks for the brilliant music, Jim. May you travel well. Like I said, 58's way too early to pass away, but this man's legacy and his memory is going to live on with everybody. And I just want to say, Into the Necrosphere honors him and the influence that he's had on this music, and the happiness and the joy that he's brought to millions of people. But more important than that, for what it's worth, my very sincere condolences to Annie, and hopefully she finds a way forward without him. It doesn't say what he passed away from. I mean, I would assume if folks were with him until the end, it was probably cancer related or something similar. Doesn't really matter. He was a good man by all accounts, and it's sad that he's gone. So. Okay, we move on, and next up, what's worth us listening to? There's some news about Saxon guitarist Paul Quinn stepping down from touring. So interesting, actually. Saxon is no band I really listen to, but there was something that popped up on Metal Sucks of all things, and the only reason I know about it, I don't follow Metal Sucks religiously, but the main reason I know about it is because it came up on my Google News feed, where Steve Harris of Iron Maiden was talking about the fact that Iron Maiden, potentially weren't going to be around for too much longer. He was talking about Senjutsu and their approach to writing the record as, in the back of their mind, thinking that it could be their last album. And he was also talking about touring and saying, this could be the last time that we go on a world tour. And it reminds you again, there's definitely a clock ticking on a lot of the big names in metal, and a lot of the names that many of us grew up with and we've almost taken for granted is always going to be around. I would say it's not outside the realms of possibility that you're going to see Metallica retire in the next 10 years. Iron Maiden may retire in the next 10 years. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Steve Harris is 67 years old. I mean, he can't keep performing at the level that he's performing at. I mean, it's either 62 or 67. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, I mean, at 62, he's going to be 72 in 10 years from now. And it's a very, very rare number of people, that can still perform at the level that he's used to performing at, regardless of my thoughts on much of Iron Maiden's music, at that age. It's going to be a sad, or I should say a bittersweet couple of years, I think. Because let's also be honest, a lot of the bands that have been around for a long time, their best years musically are behind them. So it's a reminder that we're all growing older. I mentioned that about Ozzy Osbourne when he said he's not touring anymore some time back, and I think the reason why for some of us it's sadder than others, it's because it's a reminder that all of us are growing older, and pretty soon we're going to have to think about scaling back and potentially retiring as well. So, but I just thought I would mention that because I saw the. I saw that note there about Saxon, and it reminded me of that article. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Burial Hordes are streaming tunes from their upcoming record. Burial Hordes, a black metal unity from Greece, share tunes and details in connection with their new full-length release. Dubbed Ruins, it will be set free through Transcending Obscurity Records on May the 25th, 2023. Transcending Obscurity Records, I do know, also check out this podcast from time to time. So where are you guys at on Horda? Once again, we find ourselves with a Bandcamp link here. So let me head back to YouTube and see if I can find a track to play you guys, because I have no idea what Burial Hordes sound like. So, all right, let's give it a quick spin. For those watching me on YouTube, before anybody calls me out, I did notice that I had the full red line below that video. So I must have heard it, or more likely it would have been something that just played, when I watched something on YouTube and just left it running on in the background. Either way, I can't remember hearing it. Actually, I'm quite surprised because musically that is outstanding. I mean, that riff is right up my street. It's again fast, aggressive, dark, atmospheric. I think the way that these guys deploy melody really, really sounds good. My only one gripe with it, and I wouldn't really call it a gripe because I think it's something that the music is good enough that you can see past it, but I find those vocals to be a little monotonous. And I know we're only 1 minute in, but unless they're going to do something different or they're going to mix it up a bit somehow, I think those vocals would get pretty dull pretty quickly. There's a right way to do it. There's a wrong way to do it. I wouldn't say these guys are doing it in entirely the wrong way. I mean, we've heard of that band from Switzerland, Aura, that we listened to a while back. That's the absolute wrong way to do extreme metal or black metal vocals. This is kind of somewhere in the middle, but it just almost feels to me like when the music is this good, you need a voice that's going to complement that. I'm not sure that's the case here, but let's give it another minute. I mean, it's a little touch, but that bit of reverb at the end of the last line that the vocalist was barking, I mean, that already helped in terms of just mixing it up a little bit. But again, like I said, I mean, I'm not expecting him. As a matter of fact, prefer he not start singing. But, again, maybe just kind of mix it up, even have a second vocalist or have somebody in the band do backing vocals just to break up that monotony a little bit. Musically, 10 out of 10 in my view. Vocals, probably 7. Yeah, I'd say 7 out of 10. But good stuff. Like I said, the band Burial Hordes out of Greece. The song we just listened to is called Purgation, and I believe that the record is called... Oh, no, it's not called Purgation, sorry. It's called Ruins, and I did say that earlier. But it's Sunday morning, and I've had another hellacious week. Anyways, let's move on. Antrage, another band I'm not familiar with. It says here, atmospheric black metal bringers Antrage have unveiled I Fest Gefroren, the first preview tune of the upcoming album Expedition to Die Passage, which is set to be digitally self-released on April the 7th, 2023. Going into the article, this does bear the Black Metal Promotions frowny face corpse-painted logo, so... generally speaking, Black Metal Promotions shares pretty goddamn good stuff. It's a great source of music for me. And if you don't follow that channel, I would strongly recommend that you do. But when it comes to atmospheric black metal, though, it can go one of two ways for me. It's either incredible or it sounds like AFSCII, which is just a bunch of fucking sniveling as far as I'm concerned. So, like I said, I have no idea what Antrage sounds like. Let's hear if they've gone the sniveler's path or they've stuck to the man's path. So we've got a bit of preamble here. It says on the 19th of May 1845, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror set sail for the Canadian Arctic. Led by Sir John Franklin, the expedition's goal was the discovery of the remaining uncharted part of the Northwest Passage. Last seen by whalers in late July 1845, the two ships vanished into the unknown. Scary shit. Never to be seen again.
Horizont, wie von zitternder Hand waagrecht auf Papier gekratzt. Der Gott der Finsternis trägt sein Schicksal tief hinein, ins kalte Herz der weißen Hölle. Roll Britannia, die Wellen sind erstarrt.
Alright, the distorted screaming at the kids to get off your lawn is going to wear thin on me very quickly. So I'm going to jump across to 3 minutes 50 seconds, so about the halfway part of the song, the halfway mark of the song, I should say. And let's hear where the business is picked up. It sounds like that could have potential. It reminds me a bit of that Cradle of Filth single that we listened to last week, which, I didn't mind, but again, Danny Filth's vocals were not for me. I'm not a fan of the vocals here either. This is the black metal equivalent of death metal typewriter vocals. The it's just I just don't find it. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't add anything to the song. You're not using the voice for what it was intended to be. There's nothing brutal about it. It just sounds cartoonish to me. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but I mean, the music's not bad. And I think that bit that we just stopped on now, where the song is clearly, going into another, bit of a gear shift is not bad. It's definitely a darn sight better from that fucking AFSCII train wreck that we listened to a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I know there's a huge amount of love for that band, but I personally think that song was complete utter nonsense. Music for bedwetters. That's the nicest way to describe it. Okay. Let's check out if there's anything else on here worth reading. Yob have announced some headlining shows in the US. I really like Yob. So if you're in the US, check that out. A reminder, Reaper Fest on July the 29th and July the 30th. Ultha are going to be doing a headlining set on the Saturday, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do a face-to-face with the great Ralph Schmidt on that weekend. And then the next day, Heathen Deity are playing, and Ruins of Beverast are playing as well. So 2 more face-to-face conversations I'm hoping to record. As a matter of fact, and I don't want to give away anything because you all know I'm superstitious, and I'm confident that if I tell you it's happening, then it'll be cancelled. So I'm not going to say anything. Let me just throw it out there that I'm busy working on a potential face-to-face that I'm going to record in the next couple of weeks. And if it happens, you guys are going to be very happy indeed. Best you follow me on social media, because I will post a picture of it if it does happen. Highly requested guest. I think a conversation that really only would be done justice if it were recorded face to face, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay, now let's talk about the new Ihsan cover song. You all know how much I love Ihsan, and I love his approach to music of late. As part of his upcoming Fascination Street Sessions EP release, Ihsan presents a cover of the Swedish band Kent and the song Dom Adra. It features a guest appearance by fellow soy boy Jonas Renska of Catatonia. Comments Ihsan, prior to getting involved with this project, I'd been talking to Jonas Renska about doing a cover of the Swedish band Kent and the song Dom Adra. And what better opportunity to do a cover of a Swedish band in Swedish with a Swedish vocalist in Sweden with one of the top producers in Sweden. Needless to say, Jonas did a stunning performance of the song, and I hope the rest makes it justice too. The first track that we've heard off of this EP has been charitably a pile of shite. So whether this is going to be any better, I am skeptical, but it wouldn't be the news rant if I just listened to music I liked. So let's hear what it sounds like. There's a definite target audience for this kind of music, no doubt about it. Vegans, men that identify as third wave feminists, people that still believe that we should be wearing face masks, that think that the government ended lockdown too soon. They are all in the target audience for this kind of music. I would bet my life that 99.9% of the Legion is not down with this crap. And I think, once again, if you're going to talk about darkness lacking in modern music, then you should be making music that is slightly more edgy than the fucking muck we just listened to. I mean, let's say it like it is. When Guns N' Roses put out Patience, it was more edgy than that nonsense we just heard. Okay, we move on. It has been, considering how much cool stuff is due out over the next couple of weeks, it's been slim pickings. And actually, let me just talk very quickly about cool stuff out in the next couple of weeks. I laid my ears on the new Alan Averill project, Venomous Serpent. Now, some of you had spoken to me about this online and said it was really good. I actually didn't listen to the songs when they came out. I got an advance copy of it, and because of all of the noise the Legion was making, I checked it out straight away. Sweet, unholy serpent of Satan. Fuck me, it's good. I mean, it's like, I would suggest that is almost a surefire contender for best album of 2023. I mean, that is how good it is. It's just brilliant old school black metal, executed as only Alan Averill can. It is absolutely fantastic. What else has come out? And Archon. We spoke about that a couple of weeks back. I've heard the full album now. Motherfucker. You guys have no idea what's coming. And when you hear that album, it is absolutely fucking brilliant. So yeah, there's good stuff coming out. It's been a pretty damn busy year so far. But it doesn't seem to be a huge amount that's worth us reading or at least listening to this week. That being said, Devil Driver have announced their 10th full-length effort. As a guilty pleasure, there's a couple of songs on that first Devil Driver record that I really still like, and seeing them playing it live is very cool too. Sadly, they decided to then go the way of every other fucking shit metalcore band, and yes, they've got Des Fafara doing vocals, so it doesn't exactly all sound like Killswitch Engage, but it's still not my thing. That being said, Los Angeles, California-based five-piece Devil Driver are back with their 10th full-length album announcement entitled Dealing with Demons Volume 2. It consists of 9 tracks that were produced and engineered by Steve Evitts, with additional engineering from guitarist Mike Spreitzer. Official album release May 12th, 2023. To taste a piece of it, check out a video clip for the first advanced single, Through the Depths. More than happy to give it a listen. I'm not sure it's going to be any good, but time will tell. Now, let's ignore the very cheesy, band sitting around a banquet table in the middle of the forest with some cheap smoke machine crap filtered in. I mean, let's be honest, this is a very different sound to Loco that Des Fafara announced his arrival on the quote-unquote metal scene, because it's not really metal, but anyway, to the alternative music scene with. And I refer, of course, to that old Cold Chamber fucking pain in the thorn in the side of everybody that hated new metal. Like, if ever there was a new metal song that summarized why so many of us didn't like new metal, that was it. Anyways, but yeah, that's actually not bad. I think the visuals are terrible, but that intro there, pretty good, I have to say. I think it's it's nothing particularly original, but it sounds very different for them. It's reasonably atmospheric. I like the melody. So let's hear what they do with it beyond the 46th second, which is where we've paused it. No, I don't hate that. If someone played that at their house, if I went over for a visit, I wouldn't tell them to turn it off immediately. I don't like that spoken word bit there. I think spoken word is something that very, very, very few bands can pull off well. But I mean, overall, not bad. It says here, frontman Des Fafara says about the single, Through the Depths is a conversation between a higher power and humans regarding the power of thinking ideas into existence, but being very careful of being arrogant behind those wants and needs. The first lines give this away. Attention, attention, you're seeking, you've asked for, it's given. I mentioned that because next week I've got Roman of Bizarre Cult on the podcast. We're talking about the new Bizarre Cult record, which is fantastic. A lot of you really like. We got a lot into this, idea that in the modern age, the currency, we went from the currency being love and the need for love to the need for attention and what that means for society. So that was a really, really interesting conversation that went, I mean, I kind of joked afterwards and said it was like a 2-hour therapy session. But make sure you check that out. It's going to be a sensational episode, but we got deep into all of these, existential things. And, again, as I've said before on the news rant, it's all about likes and clicks now, and that's why it's so hard to find anything in the news that's believable, because the way the news is written, the way the news is presented, it's there to generate hysteria amongst a certain crowd. MSNBC are going to write stories and articles and run pieces on their channel that's going to be designed to whip up the left into a frenzy, just the same as Fox News are going to do for the right. A great example comes out this week. Laura and Graham, Tucker Carlson, all say in private text messages that they absolutely hate Trump, and they've been running pro-Trump news stories for years. So it's all a game, and this is why the best thing to do when it comes to the news is just follow the numbers, because that's the only thing that actually means anything. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that again. Last week there was plenty of political ranting on the news rant, and I'm mindful of the fact I'm no expert. I think I've got reasonably educated and informed views. I try and take as much of a nuanced view to things as I possibly can, in the sense that I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. I'm more than happy to listen to a conflicting viewpoint. But I also, again, I don't want this to just be about politics and stuff like that. May well be that we get a guest on who's keen to talk about that sort of thing. I'm more than happy to talk to them about it. But ultimately this is about music, and maybe we sometimes talk about stuff that just impacts us all in our general day-to-day life. Okay, Deathreich, as part of their forthcoming debut album Disharmony, due on March the 17th through Non-Servium Records, Swedish death metal bringers Deathreich offer in listening a brand new single called World War. I think we listened to a Deathreich track not long ago, actually, and I did like it. So let's hear what World War sounds like. Definitely no foreplay there before the ear fucking starts. Very fast, very aggressive right out of the gates. The riff reminds me a bit of Malevolent Creation, actually, which is no bad thing. Not anything that I'm gonna jump up and down with excitement over, but certainly not bad. Okay. Tribulation reveal Blue Oyster Cult cover. I've never liked Tribulation. I've never been able to understand why they get the level of love and acclaim that they enjoy. Tell me what I'm missing, but I just don't. I do not get it whatsoever. We also have Enslaved premiering a lyric video for the Eternal Sea. Obviously, we spoke about the new Enslaved record last week. Surprisingly, turned out to be very good. I think, folks, it may be time for us to head over to the Democrat's Guide to Rock Music, Blabbermouth. First up, we have got former Megadeth guitarist Marty Friedman performs in San Antonio during tour with Queensryche. Nothing really to see there. Des Fafara says Cold Chamber reunion happened very organically after his near-death COVID experience. There's more news here about Jim Durkin. And then Killing Joke have released a brand new single, Full Spectrum Dominance. I love me some Killing Joke. I spoke a couple of weeks ago about guests that I would love to have on the podcast. I think Jazz Coleman on the podcast would be absolutely incredible. I highly doubt it would ever happen. But if it did, I think we'd have plenty to talk about. Killing Joke has released a brand new single, it says here, called Full Spectrum Dominance via Spine Farm to celebrate the band's sold-out show at London's Royal Albert Hall on March the 12th. The epic track was mixed by Tom Dalgetty and is accompanied by a remix from Youth and artwork by long-term designer Mike Coles. Under the banner Killing Joke, follow the leaders. Killing Joke will perform its first 2 albums in their entirety at the Royal Albert Hall 1980's self-titled debut LP, followed by their second full-length What Is This For? All right, let's hear what Full Spectrum Dominance sounds like. So the intro shows something akin to... Hold on. Before that starts, just to narrate to everybody, because actually the visuals here are quite cool and, very much in line with everything that Killing Joke has spoken about in their lyrics for a while now. But yeah, there's kind of like these CCTV cameras everywhere and, surveillance state, 1984 style imagery. Yeah, and then the music gets started. So let's hear what they get up to. That is fucking fantastic. I mean, it's very much in line with the previous single they put out, Lords of Chaos, and I think that came out about probably a year or so ago, maybe a little less. But that song just is, basically typical Killing Joke, Killing Joke at their finest. And I was thinking about it while the song was playing, which is why I let that track go on a little longer than normal. My favorite Killing Joke songs, just to calibrate, as I did last week with Enslaved, for those of you that like Killing Joke and, maybe you want to understand where I'm coming from when I'm listening to this, my favorite Killing Joke songs, without a doubt, the version of The Beautiful Dead that was on the singles compilation that they put out a couple of years ago, they made a few changes to the way the chorus sounds in there. That's probably my favorite Killing Joke song. Hosannas from the Basement of Hell is absolutely incredible. Implosion is absolutely fucking incredible. And then even though it's a reasonably poppy song, I have sentimental value attached to Love Like Blood, and when they play it live especially, it's amazing. And then Exorcism of Pandemonium. So that to me is like prime Killing Joke. This to me is just prime Killing Joke as well. And Jazz Coleman, 63 years old, and still ripping it up. I mean, when you see that guy on stage, it is fucking mind-blowing. He is top-notch as far as frontmen are concerned. But yeah, great song. Okay, is there anything else on here? Megadeth's Dave Mustaine admits he has difficulty getting up to a certain pitch now with his vocals. No shit. We're talking about vocals and vocalists getting older and stuff like that. Like I said a couple of months ago, I think it's a good thing that, when you hear James Hetfield, for example, sing Metallica songs live now, he seems to be letting his voice go with the music a little bit more than it was before. Like he was trying to do the exact same pitch, exact same highs that he was reaching when he was a young man. And, as you get older, that's just not possible anymore. And I think there's a right way to deal with that, and the right way to deal with it is just change the vocal line to fit with your voice. No one's gonna think you're an asshole for it. So anyway, Dave Mustaine loves having James Lomenzo back in Megadeth after that weird shit that happened with Dave Ellefson. There was a debate on another website. I can't remember what metal website it was, about whether Dave was too harsh in letting David Ellefson go, and I've kind of dithered between the two, because obviously David was on the podcast. He's a very nice guy when he came on, but I do think, as much as I don't care for Mustaine, I do think he was right to let him go, because honestly, it's just a bad look having a guy in his late 50s jerking off for an 18-year-old on a Zoom call. You have to kind of think about it from the perspective of, how do you want yourself and your band to be perceived? If you keep a public masturbator on in your band, that reflects negatively on not only on him, but it reflects negatively on Dave Mustaine. It reflects negatively on Megadeth. And whether or not there was anything illegal happening there, I know there was accusations of child molestation and grooming flying around all over the place. If she was of legal age, that's not necessarily applicable, but it's the principle of it. And I would have done exactly the same if I were Dave Mustaine, friendship or no friendship. I mean, I'm probably a little blunt when it comes to that in my life. Over the years, one of the things that I have, that I've begun to apply in my life is I can very quickly disconnect from a friendship if I'd feel like that, like the respect and the loyalty that I'm showing somebody is not being reciprocated. I would just cut people out, because as far as I'm concerned, life is way too short to be investing what time that you have available in people that aren't going to show you any of the same love and connection back. So that's a side rant. But in Dave Mustaine's place, grooming or no grooming, jerking off on Zoom, whether the girl was fucking 18 or 48, I would have told him to get to step into. I think that's one thing where I believe he is absolutely in the right. All right. Tim Ripper Owens has grown to love Guns N' Roses music and Axl Rose's voice. Why that has to be news, I don't know. Vale of Maya announced new album, Mother. Have I ever been a fan of Vale of Maya? I don't really think so. Genre-bending metal powerhouse Vale of Maya has announced its first studio album in nearly 6 years, titled Mother. It'll be released on the band's longtime label Sumerian Records on May 12th. Pre-orders with a variety of merch and vinyl bundle options are available now from Vale of Maya Band. Don't know this band, I don't think. But they seem to have a new song on here, so we can discover them together. The song is called Red Fur. There's a woman with 6 arms, but rather buxom for the rest of her mutations aside on the album cover. So let's give it a quick listen. Right, there's a very good reason why I don't know Vale of Maya, and that's because they fucking suck. So I'm not going to even let that song go any further. That is a load of shit. All right, let's go on. I tell you what Sumerian Records are and should be famous for. They did a series way back, and I'm going to go on YouTube and see if I can find it, where they had the Ultimate Warrior, he of WWF fame, doing he would have like a band, and it was bands that were on Sumerian Records, which is why I remember it. He would have a band, and he would have them do there we go. The Warrior Show is what it was called, and I think he would have like a band from Sumerian Records and basically put them through like a warrior style boot camp, and it was fucking hysterical because the stuff he would shout at them was just absolute genius. There's a full episode, it's 25 minutes long, and actually we're not going to watch that, but let's check out just this. There's like a 1 minute 9 second one here that we can that I'll share with you guys. And if ever you feel in the mornings like you don't want to go to the gym, maybe it's a little cold outside, maybe you want to stand in that duvet a little longer, watch this video. You will get out of bed right quick.
On the back, and you squat fucking down, feet flat, like you're shitting over a hole, like this. You keep your back straight up and down, 20 fucking reps with the bar. And then I need somebody here just doing military press. Push up and down. You got 2 sets of dumbbells here. You just keep going. Devin, get on the prowler. 20 reps on the prowler. If you're standing around, fucking get on it. You just got off the prowler, you get on the sled. Let's go. Yeah. Fuck that, you can't. 52 fucking years I've been on this fucking planet. Fuck! 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 You know what they're gonna tell you when you want to go to the fucking big stadiums? 100,000 people! I fucking can't! Fuck that! Don't waste my fucking time! Can't!
Fucking brilliant. I mean, he's 52 years old there, and obviously, he sadly passed away now, but he was still fucking beastly on there. And, I don't know IC stars, but the guys there look, like they've never lifted anything heavier than a fucking copy of Hustler in their life. So, but yeah, no, very, very cool. Second season of Mike Judge's Beavis and Butthead to premiere in April. I've yet to watch that Beavis and Butthead movie, but I definitely want to. Tell you what I did watch today, though. Chris Rock's new Selective Outrage special, which was fucking brilliant. He lays into the woke. He lays into Meghan Markle, who's another one of the turd nuggets of society that I wish we never ever would have to hear about ever again. And then he has about a 10-minute revenge rant against Will Smith at the very end of the special. But he's not quite on the level of Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle in my view, but if you like stand-up comedy, you definitely have to watch that. And then other stuff I've been watching, I've been keeping up with The Last of Us. I heard some comments on Necromaniacs from my fellow horsemen Jeff Kashid and Mike Hill, feeling like they were not feeling it anymore. But I must say, maybe it's because I was such a fan of the game, but I think they've nailed it. I watched episode 8. Obviously, as I'm recording this, tonight is the series finale. The season finale, I should say. But to me, so far, it's been sensational. And it actually gets better and better after episode 3. So, for me, that's very good. I also tried watching the new Dave O. Russell movie, Amsterdam, which stars, amongst others, Christian Bale, Isaiah Washington, Margot Robbie, Robert De Niro. A powerhouse cast, but I made it through an hour and 4 minutes of the movie. And I would have ended it sooner. And I thought, no, I'm invested, and surely we must be coming to the end of it now. And then I checked to see how much time we still had left, and I said to Paige, I had no fucking chance. I can't do this. So we rewatched Pearl. I'm getting to a place as I get older, I've got to say, where I think because my time is so fucking limited at the moment, and I'm so busy during the week that I almost feel like watching something new. There's that gamble of spending my time on something that I'm not going to enjoy, and then it feels like an hour wasted. And I kind of feel like that about Amsterdam, a complete fucking turd of a film. So if I can have saved anybody else the injury of having attempted to watch it, do yourself a favor and don't see it. It's absolute trash. But yeah, the Beavis and Butthead movie, I did see that little piece about them. I think it was like the white privilege thing that they were doing, which is just, I was fucking screaming with laughter. And I was very much against, I think I even mentioned it on the news rant, very much against Beavis and Butthead coming back, but I take all of that back. Just that sequence in the movie alone makes it worth seeing. Okay, let's see if there's anything else here before we wrap things up. My friends, I don't believe that there is. There's a bit here about Death to All, which features Gene Hoglan and Steve DiGiorgio. Death to All is kind of one of the two main Death tribute bands. The other one, Left to Die. My friends in Damham played a show with them a couple of weeks ago. And I do need to make a point of going out to see more shows, but, you know, it's been snowing here, and it's a fucking pain in the ass to get into London. I was going to go meet up with Tentacle of Omega Infinity, but every single train into London was cancelled because, obviously, the UK is the least weather-resilient land in all of the world. So, yeah, but maybe in the summer I'll make a point of going out and seeing a few more shows. But, folks, I think that is pretty much all there is to talk about on this week's news rant, so let's wrap shit up. Thank you very much for sticking around until the very end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Big thanks and a shout out to Kevin Sharp of Venomous Concept. Make sure you check out the Good Ship Lollipop. Also, make sure you check out the two records that I reviewed, Horda with Form and Tribe of Pazuzu with Blasphemous Prophecies. Next week, I'm back with Roman of Bizarre Cult. That is a very, very enjoyable conversation, and I think it vastly exceeded my expectations, because Roman is a guy who's quite considered in the way he speaks. So when I had him on the show the first time, you know, it took a while for the conversation to get flowing, and he and I have kind of, you know, stayed connected since. I think that's part of why the conversation turned out to be as good as it was. But I think you guys are going to have this one right up there with some of your favorites ever. That's how strongly I feel about it. And then, of course, that new Bizarre Cult record is absolutely sensational as well. But we're going to finish off this week in the best and the only way, frankly, that we could. Obviously, I shared the sad news about Jim Durkin earlier. So there's only one way to say goodbye this week, and that's by playing a track off of the classic Darkness Descends Dark Angel record. We're going to be playing Death is Certain, Life is Not. And as always, I would like to wish you, the Legions, whatever it is that you're doing, wherever it is that you are, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you bad motherfuckers again next Tuesday.